I was getting married. I think we moved there in July, and I was getting married in November, and I didn't want to be a loser, like, what do you do for a living? I needed a job. So I remember, like, applying for everywhere to be the next step up from being a runner was an arbitrage clerk. So then I was on the floor, I was in front of currency, so I was basically in front of this bank of phones.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it was like really sophisticated. You can pick up your cell phone now and call Zurich.
Right.
But I worked for a company in Zurich, and all the dial tones were in Zurich, so it was really cool. So like as if I was in Europe, all my phones. So I had this bank of phones. We were seeing these pictures.
Yeah.
And every single one of these phones was connected to Zurich, Switzerland.
Wow.
And so people would call in from Zurich, and they'd place currency trades. So then I would answer the phone, and then I would have to like signal into the pit. Now, was I qualified for this job? This is a funny story. No. Mm-hmm. Did I know what I was doing? No. Did I know the language? The language was hand signals. I didn't even know the hand signals.
Yeah.
But I needed a job so badly, so I said, I didn't even understand the interview because they were Swiss Germans. I don't know if you ever speak with Swiss Germans. Their English is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know what idea what they were saying to me, but I just kept answering yes. And so they gave me the job. To this day, I don't know what I now can easily speak with people from Switzerland with German accents. I've heard a few people understand what they're saying because everyone's like, what they say? I'm like, I understand.
No, that's funny, yeah.
So yes, I took this job, and I remember screaming, and everyone was laughing. You know, it's almost like a locker room mentality. And I had to literally write in the paper, and I had to run out of my pit and deliver to the pit. I was supposed to hand signal. It's called RB. Like this is 100, 1. So you do things on your head. It's just like hand signals.
Yeah.
Which you learn quickly, and I did.
Okay.
That was my career. It started my career, which I eventually became a trader and worked for somebody. And then eventually I traded on my own, which was very, I became very successful at it, and it taught me a ton about business. It taught me about situational awareness, which my book is about. It taught me how to read the tape. Reading the tape means reading the stock. It taught me how to read people, because people make decisions on stocks and make decisions on whether they're buying or selling. So it was an incredible incubator for me in order for all the other things that I was able to do in my life.
I see. So how long did you trade for?
10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
What was what was the moment where you made your first 100K, for example?
Oh, I can't even remember. But you would have you would have 7-figure swings.
Okay, so let's just say
you make $1 million in a day, and then you know what that feels like when you're a young person and you make $1 million in one day. You know what? You feel like you're the master of the universe. Like,
what was your moment?
I'm like, oh my God, I'm the greatest thing, but of course you can lose it the next day. And you feel the lowest of lows, and like I felt like the greatest person on the planet. The next day I was like depressed. I'm a loser.
What age did you make your first million?
I guess before I was 30 years old. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And how did that feel in that moment? You were just what you explain right now?
Yeah, it was. You feel absurdly important. So the great thing about youth is that you are self-impressed for no reason whatsoever. So as you get older, you realize that you're an idiot. And as I get older and older, and I'm at this point in my life, I know that I'm actually know nothing, and I am a complete moron at all times. And so
you're just humble. You're just being humble.
Well, I mean, I just think it's funny. Like they always say when you're young, it was a lot of fun. But I mean, for everything that I was making, you could lose. I mean, there was massive risk. I can't even believe the risks I would take. We could be, my wife and I could have been homeless. I would take positions, and I would be like, we're living in the car tonight, or we're living like in a mansion. So there was massive risks that taught me a lot, and obviously it worked out well.
Yeah. And
it gave me the opportunity to move on to what I did next was trade off the floor. We moved again.
Okay.
It became sort of lack of a description, a day trader, and it also became a venture capitalist. So I formed a venture capital firm, and as a reason it led me into...
So before you get into that, I know you made your first meal.
Everyone wants my money.
Yeah. Now, what was the most money you made being a trader?
I mean, it's a lot of money. I don't like talking about that stuff. A lot of money, in today's dollars, it would probably be like $7 or $8 million.
Okay, that's
in a very short period of time. What people don't understand about trading is that it's leverage. What people don't understand about, it's not like I showed up to the pit with all this money. But you're registered as a broker-dealer. You're actually part of the financial system. So you're registered for every $50,000 that's in your account. You're controlling $1 million of assets.
Yeah.
So what people don't understand about Wall Street is that you're you're making these large swings. The reason why you make so much money is because it's massive leverage.
Yes.
So if I am leveraging $100 million, if I'm invested in the market for $100 million, it's not really that much of a swing for you to earn a 7-figure trade, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's leverage. So when you become a trader and you are registered as a broker-dealer, which is what I was, they check your background to you. I think they're checking all the way back to elementary school and make sure that I am part of the financial structure in the system. Today it's very different than it was back then.
Yeah.
Back in those days I was on trading cards, like I was literally on a trading card. It was not electronic. I would pick up a phone and call the New York Stock Exchange and talk to the specialist and buy and sell massive amounts of stock. It was very different. Today it's all electronic. Those careers don't exist in the same way.
Wow.
So if you see these guys who run funds or hedge funds or quant funds or things like that, they're making this kind of money because they're using leverage for the most part.
Absolutely. Now, do you still trade till this day?
I still trade, and not in the same way.
You have a portfolio now?
Yes.
Are you able to say the value?
No, I'm not going to say the value.
Okay.
No.
Now, the next thing you said you went into venture capitalist.
Yes, so I had done well, and I had let's just say I had a friend, I called him my fetus friend. Our parents were best friends, and so I went to business with him, and he went to Harvard and I think Yale as well. He was a brilliant guy.
Okay, and how old were you at this time?
So would have been 37, 38 years old.
Okay, and are you still living in?
We had moved to Arizona and we had bought a home here.
Got you.
So we're living in 3 places. We were living in Telluride, Colorado, and we were living in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we were living in Newport Beach.
Okay, what's your favorite place?
Here.
Okay.
And the reason we're here, I'll tell you in a minute why we're here. We're here for a completely different reason. That's why we ended up here, for a much more important reason.
Why are you here?
I don't know if you believe in these things, but where we moved in Newport, our next door neighbor was an oncologist or a cancer doctor. We had moved into this home. It was a next door neighbor. And my wife literally came out of the shower, we're packing the house, because Arizona is very hot in the summer, and we were packing the house to go back to Arizona. And she literally saw something on her breast that looked like a spider bite. I mean, I never thought you would see cancer. And so she did. She didn't know it was cancer. I just said, it's a spider bite. We went back to Arizona, and she was diagnosed, of all days, September 11th. 2002.
Yeah.
You go into, when you face your mortality at 39 years old, and my soulmate, my love, you go into sort of like a warlike mentality. I was calling every doctor I ever knew. And so,
absolutely.
My next door neighbor was a doctor, and we really were, when you're in a second home or third home, you're not really engaged in the community the same way. And so I just called him. He actually called us several days later, and he was telling us things that we hadn't heard. We had seen like 5 or 6 doctors in Arizona. So he said that he wanted to do genetic testing. He wanted to do all these things. So anyway, we got in the car. We drove here, and he was her doctor and saved her life. So,
wow.
So when she was done with that, she's like, "We're done. Let's move to California," which obviously Newport Beach is an amazing place. So I'm not saying that's not, like, it's a miserable place to live. We love it here.
Yeah.
She wanted to move here, and I retired. I said, let's not do anything. Because we had enough resources to, like, what are we doing? Because when you face those challenges in life, you're like, what's important? My God, you're alive. That's all we cared about.
Yeah, that is true.
Now, it was great for about 3 months, and I went nuts. And in terms of not doing anything and not working, I will never, even though I've retired 3 times, I can't retire. It's a disaster for me mentally. It's just not good.
No, so during that time,
what did I do when I was retired? I bought a big boat, and I bought all sorts of cars, and I was a consumer, and I had all these friends of the things I bought things from. So I would run a Catalina, like I had a 90-foot yacht. I was running a Catalina. It was like hilarious.
Yeah, and you're not even 40 yet.
No.
Yeah. So the venture capitalist thing, that was only
40.
a couple years that you did?
No, I still do that. Actually, I still do that. So
you just started it and then
right. And so
gotcha.
I was trying to get you. I'm sort of jumping here.
Oh, no,
so
you're good. You're good. Yeah.
I apologize for your audience.
No,
what is he saying? I'm like, just saying I'm an old man.
No, I'm following. I'm sure they're following along too. Yeah. But by the way, congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
With cancer is a big scare, and I'm glad that you guys like got through it and
Yes.
found the right doctor, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
you know, God is good, man. So
Yes, God is
Yeah,
good. I mean,
yeah.
we were very blessed. I mean, excuse me. That really, I'd say that moment in history really changed both of us in profound ways. So I think that I don't want anyone else to go through that, to change as far as who you are, what you're made of. I think that when I was in these cancer wards and I was seeing people at their worst and their best, that's what you see. Sometimes you see these horrible things where people get divorced or like children have cancer and like all these like weird things happen. In our situation, we became closer than ever, you know, going through that challenge together. So it just changed us.
Yeah.
And so I think if you fight that and you go through something like that, there really is no challenge that's overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
Sure.
Like everything, when everyone says, "Well, this is a problem," like, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what a problem is.
Yeah, because you realize that you know, the people are the most important thing in the world. Is the relationships, and you know, your spouse, and you know, your kids if you have any kids, and,
Yes.
and just everybody around you versus all this, right? So that's the most important. Is people make the world go round.
It's people. It's your relationships. It's just it's really what you do for others. I don't mean to sound, you know, part of what I talk about is like if you can, and I don't think you have to be rich to do this. I think it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It's your responsibility as a human being to open a door and window for everyone else. So if you can open a door or window for them and get them where they want to go or help them, it's your responsibility to do that. And I've lived by that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't only cancer, but I'm just saying it just changed you dramatically. So yes, the end result was how to get in the real estate business and grew this company into whatever 7 billion, and how I became the second largest Sotheby's in the world. Well, I was a venture capital deal. So I had a friend in Arizona that had bet his fortune on a real estate business in Arizona.
Okay.
And it was '07, and we all know that ground central for disaster in real estate was Las Vegas and Phoenix. And he wanted to open a real estate office here, and he wanted my money, resources.
Okay.
So I
So at this time, because I know, so when you did retire, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much, like, are you able to say, like, the range of, like, oh, I was living off of, like, this range, like 50 to 100?
I don't talk about that stuff. I know that that's what everybody wants to understand that.
Yeah.
But we were fine.
Okay, so you're good to live the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And in the lifestyle that you're living.
Yes.
Okay. Because the audience, they love the numbers, and they just want to know, like, okay, like, where were you at, like, mentally, physically, spiritually, all that?
I don't talk about those things. I think that it's like I don't know, it's just foreign to me. Like I feel like I don't think your value is your net worth. I think your value is all the things that you can do for others. I don't mean to sound that way, but
No,
it's like
that's
what
true.
kind of human being you are. So I never judge anybody by that. And so I sort of live by that concept, and that's why I don't really talk about it.
No, and it's good that you bring that up, because like I feel like that strongly. What you're sharing right now is that especially a lot of younger people do things for themselves, right? Like it's not really a fulfilling or sustainable life if you just do things for yourself, because then you come to realize